remember that. So we had a motion for the minutes by Tim. Do I have a second?
Huh?
Any discussion, comments? All in favor? Aye. Jose? You have a very bad staticky connection here. Jose?
I'm on mute, so I don't know what that is.
Okay, but can you vote on the minutes, yay or nay?
I had said yay, so yay.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, very good, thank you. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is town department updates. Santina, I know you said you just have one thing to bring up, so if you don't mind doing that, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to mention the health department went to the Health and Fitness Expo over the weekend, hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. And while we were there, we gave out like health department stuff, but we also handed out some of the bike reflectors that the health department had purchased, as well as pedestrian reflectors, which we completely wiped clean of the pedestrian reflectors. We also handed out the bike hangers with the shoreline bike route on them, some information on complete streets. And so just, the point is that we try to represent the Bike Pedestrian Committee while we were there. And then, nothing new. The grant is still active until September 30th. Again, it's like about $15,000, and we're going to use that money to finish up the South Pine Creek sidewalk improvements.
Right up your alley.
There you go. That's interesting.
All right. Hey, where was this Health and Fitness Expo? I got to be honest, I didn't really hear about it or know about it.
Yeah, it was at Fairfield University. It was
Fairfield
hosted by the Chamber of Commerce.
What day was that? That
was
Saturday?
on Saturday. Yeah, I think it was the 11th.
Yep.
And we were there from like 10 till 4. So they stayed until close. But they handed out a lot of stuff.
I was going to ask you. Yeah, how well attended was it, Santina?
They said it was pretty well attended. I can only speak to what my staff told me they gave out. They said they saw about 150 to 200 people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you went.
So,
Did you?
No, I didn't get a chance to go. But we had
okay.
Health Department staff go. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Megan, would you like to update us on whatever you would like to update us on? Specifically, I guess, a couple of the projects. I met with Mega yesterday, and just from my personal standpoint, I was a little confused about the Umpqua Road, Post Road work to be done. And, through discussion with her, there's two separate projects, okay? One is the one that's going to start relatively soon, that is funded, I'll say fully funded for lack of a better term. And then the second one is, and that's really sidewalks and ADA compliant stuff, okay, along the intersection there, Old Post, Umpqua, and Post Road. And the other one, there's a STEEP grant from the state of Connecticut, which stands for Small Town Economic
Planning
Advisory Plan, I don't know, something like that. But anyhow, it's state money, and there is money, not enough, but there is money available for that. And this is going to be more along the lines of, I don't want to steal your thunder, but just real quick, more along the lines of the pedestrian crossings and signals and stuff like that. So, I'm clear now that there's two separate ones.
I was just trying to read through that stuff this afternoon.
They kind of got melded together somehow in my mind, and maybe everybody, and we're all new too, and that's part of it. So anyhow, please.
So the update on the Umpqua and Post Road?
Yep.
We spoke about that yesterday.
Right,
the
yep.
Post Road. So Post Road and Umpqua intersection, we will be doing a sidewalk and ADA ramp reconfiguration. So ADA compliance, there is a change in the ADA regulations recently, so we have to bring them up to the compliance and ADA. So that whole Post Road and Old Post Road, the new sidewalk, the existing sidewalks will be replaced with wider sidewalks now, and all the ADA ramps will be replaced with the perpendicular ADA ramps. So you will not see the diagonals ADA ramp that is, like right now they're diagonal, but now it will be perpendicular. So that's.
Do we have to retrofit every crosswalk in town to this, or just as you make improvements, you have to do it?
As we make improvements,
Okay.
it's come along.
Yeah, okay.
So this is how we do. So this one is through steep grant by CTDOT. They gave us the grant for this whole project. And
So they're currently a right angle? No, they're gonna be a right angle, but they're currently like a
diagonal.
45 degree?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense. I don't like diagonal.
Somebody needed a job, I guess.
Just put you right out in the middle of everything,
Yes.
Well, it's the opposite, isn't it? So if it's a square, just so I understand, if the
Yeah.
intersection is square like this, it used to be on the corner, now it's gonna be on the side here?
No.
No, I have it
will be
wrong?
a side. It will be at the same location,
Yep.
but they will be oriented perpendicular. Right now it's like this, and now we will be just doing in his
Gotcha,
direction.
okay.
So that people,
Okay.
with diagonal, I don't know why
Only
they're
a bureaucrat.
doing this side. The wheelchairs.
Right.
The wheelchair should be directed at in front of sidewalks. So right now it's like this. So what?
I gotta go take a look.
I don't follow you at all.
So I should have brought this one, but right, if you go on Post Road,
Yeah.
right, the ADA ramps are diagonal, meaning they are at angle, like I'm sitting at your angle, right? So we are diagonal. So now the proposal, the new one will be perpendicular, because the
Or parallel, depending on the road.
parallel,
It's-
because
it's-
it will be
it's
oriented
kind of
towards
both.
the crosswalks, like crosswalks
Right
are
angle,
going like
It's
this.
a right angle, yeah.
It will be 90-degree angle, not at 45-degree angle. And they have common landings, and so that's something that we have designed. So
How much money is that?
it's very expensive. So we saved a lot of money by doing all in-house designing. We did all in-house surveying, and we did all in-house permitting, so that saved us money. The only money that we are spending is for construction.
Contractor.
Yes, and unfortunately, the concrete prices have gone up.
Sorry about that.
It was $115 per cubic yard. So maybe I think they were saying just a year ago, and now it's $175 per cubic yard. So prices, inflation, contingencies. Our project, actually our lowest bidder for this project, the lowest bid that we got was around $400,000, like $487,000. And we reviewed it, and then we cut down more items that we can do in-house and take help of DPW team in this, so we narrowed it down to $387,000. And now, after doing that, we only got grant for $126,000, so you can,
126?
yes.
Let me ask you, they
Can't
did
do that
similar,
project, right?
Can't
do the project then.
Well,
No,
they
that's
found
right.
two other sources of.
We are pulling our funds from for town share now. We are pulling funds from DPW, CDBG, which Mark Bernhardt is working on, so he will apply for those grants separately, and there are other two ones. I am forgetting one other one was there too. So we are pulling from here and here. The downtown fund, I think that's one, the other one.
down on Post Road at South Benson, North Benson, they just did, over the last year, they put in the new black, iron, steel, blah, blah, and they did the curb. Now, were those curb cuts done to the new ADA, or?
They should be done.
Okay.
They should be. And
So they should be the
they must
90
be
degrees.
compliant, yes.
Okay.
If they are not, we have to rip it apart and do it again.
Gosh.
So they have to follow.
So is the town mandated to do this work?
Mandated, you mean for every section, or?
No, I mean, well,
Yeah, that's a
Why are
good
you
question.
doing it?
Yeah, why, is it because we want to change the sidewalks, that this becomes part of the sidewalk process, and the state wouldn't give you the money unless you do the ADA too, or
It's a
something?
state road. A post road is all state road, and sidewalks are maintained by town. So-
But I mean,
But my
do we have to
question-
go back and retrofit every corner that has a 45-degree,
No, as we are moving along.
going forward.
Let's say if you decide to do some
Maintenance or
improvement, then yes, we
reconstruction.
have to go with
And that's why this
current
came up.
regulations.
So then did the state say, give you $100,000 and say you have to do this project, and then you found out that it costs more, so you just can't walk away from it? Or is it something the town is opting to do, or is the state saying you must do this?
Town initiates these procedures, like I'm not sure how this project was initiated, that I'm not very sure about.
Right.
That's how come this was initiated. But I can say from the existing conditions are not, needs improvement. I can say they're not in very worse that nobody can walk on it, but they need improvement.
Sidewalk.
ADA, yes, sidewalk and all those, that intersection with ADA ramps, diagonals, they need improvement in some way. So, from that perspective, yes, that is, and it's a state road and state funding. I'm not sure how that whole process happened, who brought the concept and who I wasn't here at that time when this whole thing, when this was proposed. But I know when this is a DOT project and maybe they have done audit, I'm just assuming maybe they went with the audit. I know Bill initiates a lot of road safety audits annually, and he did initiated a Stratfield road safety audit last year in 2021. So maybe on state road, state comes down, we initiated, we say, okay, let's do the road safety audit, and we go out with the state DOT team, and we walk down and we take down the notes and they observe what is happening, what is the problem. And then this is how we got grant for Stratfield Road recently. So maybe this is something like that.
Now, the intersection is a state road and town roads, both. There's two town roads, right? Umpqua and that. So the sidewalks that are being replaced or widened, I guess, is what they're doing, right? On Umpqua and Old Post Road. Did the state originally intend to fund that too, or did they just fund the sidewalk along the Post Road? And that's why there's this gap between what they funded and what the final cost is gonna be.
As I am aware, they only funded the Post Road.
Right.
Yes.
That's my point though. So, you can't say that they gave us a grant for 129. That was for the Post Road portion, and the project got expanded to, which makes sense. You wrap the sidewalks around the corner and go as far as you can.
Make it overlap, so then Uncle comes down and.
But that part, it sounds like that has to be funded by the town, so that's why there's, I think, a gap between what the state put in and what, I guess.
Twisted sense.
Mm-hmm. But they're supposed to start soon, right?
Actually, I spoke to the contractor today. They want to start on 27th.
Who's the contractor?
Stars Construction.
Who?
Stars
How do you spell that?
Construction. STARS.
Out of where?
Sky.
Out of where?
They're in Fairfield, actually.
Are they?
They are the native Fairfield residents. They have worked in Fairfield a lot on a lot of projects, and they're well aware of. So we have, everybody in the town has good experience working with them so far.
How many bids did they get? Do you recall? Do you know or not?
How many we got?
Yeah.
We got 4.
4.
Yeah. 2 were disqualified because they did not follow any bidding rules, so they were outright rejected.
Yep.
So we were left with, 5 we got, so we had 3 of them, and they were all high, and Stars was lowest.
The lowest of the high, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And so that's one project that we are working on, and I'm happy that it's going to construct. And it will look nice, the way we have planned this out. And then another will be the signal that you were talking about. That's another phase. But that is not coming soon. That's a pedestrian phase. They want exclusive.
Yeah, we were notified that that's going to be put off about a year. There's something about wiring.
The electrical or something?
Yeah, electrical wiring.
I guess I don't know, maybe have to put the wires under the road. I don't know. I really don't know the answer.
So technically, just all the pedestrian signal poles, they are underground wired. You have seen those traffic boxes when you go on the sidewalk, so that's where the wiring. So when they are changing that exclusive pedestrian buttons, they have to change all the wiring now. So that's why DOT may be taking time. That's why we're not touching the poles. Wherever they are, they just stay there.
Right,
It will be
right.
huge expense on the town to remove and replace, because DOT may not pay for those wiring thing, but now the
But
DOT.
my understanding from our conversation yesterday is that they are gonna pay 100% of that, right? It's a state project,
They will be taking care of those.
so we don't have to worry about.
No, they're not
having-
maintaining those signals, DOT is.
Do you know if they put that out to bid, or if they do the work themselves internally?
They do it themselves.
They do it themselves, yeah.
Yeah, not even aware, they will make us aware, hey, we are coming tomorrow. I don't know.
What about, Post Road, South Benson, when you cross from the no longer open gas station to where Sunny Days is in the sandwich shop? You cross, and there's I'm assuming there must be the 88 curb cut there, and you go right into a big, huge electrical box. You can't move forward. You have to walk in. Is that something that, it doesn't make it, I'm sure it was put there a million years ago, but it's like, is that gonna be something that comes back and bites us, or at some point, like, you have a ramp, but if you had a wheelchair, you couldn't go anywhere. You bang into the big old electrical box. I don't know.
Something to look over. We can.
Things
I can discuss with you.
Unintended consequences.
Yeah. So that's something.
At one point, that was one of the number one accident locations in the state, that intersection.
Really?
I don't know where it stands now, but that was a hot spot.
Yeah.
Number 2, but we're trying harder.
Yeah.
We're trying to get.
Gonna get that title back.
We want it back.
We're number 1.
Well, I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
Well, the funniest thing, if you come down North Benson, as you approach the where you're gonna wait for the left-hand arrow or whatever, there's this sign off the right, which no one can see, saying that you cannot make a left-hand turn onto, I guess it's Elliott Place,
Right.
where Fairfield Auto is, and everybody makes that turn, nonstop, constantly. Of course, one day I do it, but it's just like, it's almost like, take the sign down, no one's paying any attention.
Is it a yellow and black sign or a white and black sign? Because if it's yellow and black, it's advisory.
White and black on, but it's so far as you come through, the railroad overpass, it's so far to the right.
Yep.
If you're focusing on making that left,
Let's go to the right.
Huh?
Yeah, if you're gonna turn left, and the sign's over there, you're not gonna see it.
I know, it makes no sense, it's just,
Plus,
and there's nothing painted on, like, and everybody, constantly people go in there, and it's like,
Unbelievable.
whatever, I have no idea why it's not.
Who's ultimately responsible for the sign selection and all that? Is that is that the PD, or is that you?
Police commission. Yes, they are the legal traffic authority, and they are the signage.
Well,
all the approvals go through them.
The reason I'm bringing it up is there's an interesting sign on Route 58 going towards, away from Easton, let's say. So you go under the Parkway, and it goes from 2 lanes to 1 lane.
Mm-hmm.
And the sign that shows the merging is upside down.
I think the bill also.
It's supposed to be like the right lane is supposed to go like this and then up, and it goes up and then it's upside down.
Sign guy didn't have the right one on the
That's
truck.
the other
No,
one.
I haven't.
I'm looking at it.
So when you're in the accident, like,
I'm looking at it, I'm
supposed
saying,
to have done.
that ain't right.
Maybe the contractor installed it wrong.
Yeah, it's upside down.
And he just, left
It was a Friday, yeah, they get out of it.
It's been there a while, so I'm guessing nobody else noticed it, but.
So that may have happened,
No,
but.
that way, no way.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
I get a laugh out of it when I see it, but we should fix, actually, that's not funny. We should tell the right person to fix it. I don't know, maybe Frank, when he get in touch with him or somebody, but.
So that's one of our projects that we are working on. This will start. So there are a lot of other projects that are anticipated to finish in this year. One is Reef Road, which will be 2023. Our department is working.
The sidewalk?
A sidewalk.
Mhm.
Downhill,
Mm-hmm.
Reef Road. Stratfield Road, the RSA was done back in, 2022? Yeah, 2022 January we did. In-house, we wrote the report. We did not hire any consultants for this. Now, we actually believe more in in-house designing for these kind of projects where we can help as
Sure.
much possible to save costs on these things. So, RSA, we did in-house reports, put it together. We sent it to DOT last year, I think in April 2022 or March 2022. It's been a year now, and we haven't heard a word from them. So you can imagine that how the state agencies in reviewing, maybe they are understaffed or swamped with work, I don't know. So we are still waiting for the comments, but however, we did got the grant on this one. So that's where we stand with that. Mill Plain Road is one of our highest priority as well. We will be putting out for permits by next month for that one.
We're talking about the entrance
Mill
ramp?
Plain Road, the entrance, I-95 ramp. So I'll just give you a brief overview. I am actually studying that roadway for more improvements than we are doing. It may be split into the phases. I know first phase would be definitely the sidewalks and crosswalks. That's what we need, right? And signage. So that will be basic, and shoulder lines. So that would be phase one. Phase two is more extensions to narrow the I-95 ramp. I'm going to propose it to DOT. I don't know if they will like this idea, but I feel like they should narrow down the little ramp because there's a crossing distance, and it will help us to manage a little bit of speed on that roadway. That I'm going to propose and talk to DOT for narrowing and putting a little bit of curb extensions. I'm not sure if they will like the idea, but I want to present to them saying by doing, and I'm studying as I'm going along that roadway, that going on the site and sealing the site during morning, afternoon, evening, like how you feel and how you feel the site. You know, how somebody will be feeling it. I have been 2 times. So that studies is going, but this phase one, I'm going to put it off for permitting, so at least, we get this out. And narrowing down a ramp, I'm going to talk to the DOT that we have to present that we need some kind of a speed management over there. So we'll see what happens. So that's on our high list too. That is 2023 this year. So these are all 2023 projects that we are. Stratfield is 2024. South Pine Creek, I think you may be aware of that South Pine Creek project.
That's already going, right?
Yes.
It's down near towards the beach, isn't it?
Yes, towards the beach.
Yeah.
Interesting, how did you resolve it with the neighbor that you'd actually have to go up into his front yard by his front steps and around the tree? My wife and I walk that every day, and we just happened to be there when they were having a very heated argument.
Yes.
And the guy said on my dead body, this will ever go through my front yard. Yeah.
I'm not sure. That is.
I don't know if you know, it's the house right near Old Dam Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has that been resolved? I've heard of that before.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, because the thing that started before I came, and Bill was working, I'm not sure who is handling this project in my department.
There's a big tree in his front yard, so the sidewalk would have to go down the road, around the tree, almost to his front steps, and then back. Just interesting.
That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the challenges you face.
Yeah.
I'm sure,
The sidewalk is nice, people are using it, because during the pandemic, it was.
But there's still a gap, right? And that's the house that has the gap, or?
Yeah, well, it goes to Risley Road, and then it stops. And then from that point on,
Okay.
there's probably about 6 houses, and then the sidewalk picks up again and goes right to the beach.
Yeah.
So that's the gap between Risley Road and,
Yeah.
just past the golf course.
Can you tell me what the Reef Road sidewalk is? Is that just at the corner there?
No, I think it's all along Reef Road.
The entire length?
Yes.
From
And
Oldfield all the way to the beach?
Yes, to the beach, because we are doing this in-house. designing, surveying, and I think DPW will do the construction too, because this is not a state road, we don't need permits, that's what saves us. The permits kills us, because, it's along, because DOT has very stringent requirements to follow, for even Post Road, they had specific requirements for the plans that we had to follow, so that is time consuming as well. But with Reed Road and Round Hill Road, good. Thank goodness it's a town road. You don't have to deal with much.
It's their ball, you have to play by their rules.
Yes, exactly, you have to follow the rules.
What exactly are we doing? Because there are sidewalks there now.
It's a patchwork, right? I mean,
It's not very well graded sidewalks, they're steep and the terrain is.
Are some asphalt too, or not
Yeah.
concrete? Yeah.
Yeah, so they want.
I know, I actually walked that today, because I live down in the area, and I noticed there's a new crosswalk on, I don't know the name of the street, but it's, like one, if you're on Old Field heading towards the beach, it's just after, I think, that little curve to the left. There's a street there, and there's a brand new crosswalk there, I noticed. That I was aware. Which is great, because I think that there's only two on the street. There's one on the road to the dump, the crosswalk, and there's this one.
it's
And
further
one
down,
by the-
or?
And one, that by the secret, yeah, it's between the, I'll call it the dump road, and.
Yeah, Rod Highway, or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
William
right,
Way, or
right,
Elevator
right,
or
and
whatever.
the little, the old 7-Eleven, it's sort of like halfway in between there,
Oh, okay.
on one of the street corners, so it's interesting.
Okay. So is the standard concrete for sidewalks?
Yes,
Because asphalt's much easier on your legs,
yeah.
if you're walking. I mean, I used to run.
It's softer,
It's a lot softer.
yeah,
Yeah. Is it,
but it doesn't last as
Doesn't-
long, I
is
guess.
that- the reason?
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
the point, they're not very, sustainable, very.
I think they have a tendency to warp too more, right, and crack
Yeah.
more?
Tree roots will push them up.
Concrete
doesn't
has
sound
good,
concrete?
good compressors.
Problem
Right,
is,
it's
no
more
one
expensive.
in Connecticut
Yeah.
knows how.
Asphalt is cheap and they don't last
What's that?
long.
No one in
Yeah.
Connecticut knows how.
Will the
to
new
do
walks be
concrete
wide enough?
properly.
Yeah.
So they're ADA compliant?
Yeah.
Doesn't last.
It
Yeah.
is almost
Walking
4
in New
feet
York,
is,
the
you
same.
have to be ADA.
It's like walking
Technically, it's a
50
yes.
years old.
Just both sides, where there presently are sidewalks
Yeah.
on Long Reach?
Yes.
So all the sidewalks that are 3 feet are gonna be 4 feet as part of this?
Well, zoning requirement is 6 feet.
6,
Yeah, I think
6
it
foot
is
width?
5 to 6 feet, yes.
6 feet
Our
wide?
zoning regulations, yes.
It's from.
People would be driving their cars? If you do.
I should be correcting, I heard.
I know the population's getting more portly, but I don't think any
I
6
think
foot
5
5.
is there.
Let's think of the future.
Let's put 5.
That's where it's going, bigger.
I have to confirm.
That's crazy.
But I don't know why I heard someone say, but they have a zoning, so we have to follow zoning regulations.
Well, but is it 6 in from the curb, because you have that, a lot of times you'll have that dirt strip where the trees are and stuff, so.
The buffer zone, the
Buffer
buffer zones are almost 3
Dirt,
feet, so snow shelf, for snow, for snow shelf, they're called.
But if it's a 6-foot sidewalk, does that eliminate that snow shelf, or?
No,
that
I
plus?
don't,
It's probably like a 2-foot snow shelf and a 4-foot sidewalk,
Yeah,
adding to 6.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can add them together?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't
Not
realize, okay.
together, I think.
I thought
We
you.
cracked the code.
So
We've-
let's
We've done
put
good
this
work.
way, the 2 people can walk on the sidewalk.
Holding hands.
Holding hands. So that's what, the 5 feet should be good for 2 people
Yeah.
to walk,
Yeah.
or 4 feet, but not 3 people, in 3 feet, nobody can walk together. So those are some of the sidewalk improvements that we are doing. We have also updated the sidewalk maps, again, I have attached that draft with me. We did, add, I will send it to you. We have added few, all the added new sidewalks we have added in the plan, not 2013 we are following, so a lot of sidewalks has been added since 2013, so we have shown on the plans, and bike routes. We have shown on those plans. The one thing that I've added in the draft for the master plan is distinguishing between exclusive bike lanes and shared bike lanes. So where we have exclusive ones and where we have shared bike lanes. That was in the plan, but now have.
Do we have exclusive bike lanes officially?
There are some places, and it's not top of my mind where they are.
You
I
have to
think I
find
need a
it.
list.
Yeah, exactly.
There are exclusive, but depends on the roadway width.
Like Mill Plain, those are not bike lanes.
Those are
their
sight lines.
shoulder, like.
Fog line?
Yeah,
Fog lines,
fog
yeah, sight lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause you can park there.
Right,
Not many people do, but
no, right.
Yeah,
you get banged. So,
so I think I wrote it down all of it, so that's something that we should be following when somebody is putting like a bike lane on the roadway. There are different regulations for putting bike lanes, it's just not putting anywhere. So that's something, I don't know where I kept it.
Hey, just one thing I noticed too, today on this new crosswalk, there's 3 triangular, painting lines as you come up. Is that something new to advise you of a crosswalk or something? You should go look at it then, because, yeah, there's 3 white triangles like this, okay?
Upside down triangles, so to speak?
I'm trying to think of if they're pointing.
Okay, then.
So here's the crosswalk, okay?
Yeah.
Here's the crosswalk. So if you're driving this way, I believe they look like arrows.
Yes,
to
that
to
is for
point-
yields for pedestrians.
Okay,
That is near the sidewalks, they put it for yielding for pedestrians.
No.
but I've never seen that before.
Who knows that?
Who knows that?
Yeah, and how would you know that? Yeah,
Well,
it's 3 white triangles.
Well, you send in 3 box tops, you get a decoder watch from,
Maybe the word yield would be
People have to learn these
too
things.
too easy.
Drivers have to.
Oh, it's gotta be in
make
Spanish.
themselves-
17 languages. It was called half a block away. Russian,
Okay,
Croatian,
um,
Ukrainian, Spanish.
Can you, just do one other thing for us? Can you just kind of tell us where you are with the master plan? Just the engineering department. One of the things we want to do is revise this. This is the master plan. You guys can sort of look at this because we're going to go over this section in a bit, but I didn't bring copies for you.
Is the current version on the website?
This was done, yeah, this was done in 2013, so it was determined, and rightfully so, that, that it needs to be revised. And the first revision would be things that were in there that are done. Let's take them out. We don't need to look at them or pat ourselves on the shoulder.
Done.
And have a plan going forward as far as what types of things we want to do infrastructure-wise. There's a section on education, which we're going to talk about tonight, a section on enforcement and things like that. So, but Megan and Bill have spent a lot of time, I believe, revising the current plan. And so how close are you to doing?
We're almost done. We are actually almost done. I have to just put it together because I wanted to discuss education and school zones with you on this one, which I think school zoning would like to add in the master
And who
plan.
did the enforcement section? Just curious. The enforcement recommendations.
With Police Commission, we collaborated with Police Commission for
Okay.
we send them the old plan and ask them to update any pointers they think. So we have updated those.
Okay.
And who adopts it once the plan is complete?
Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen, okay.
Mhm.
I think the presentation that we are going to have on 27th will not be for voting, but I think that is going more for presentation purposes. This has already been adopted, but we are just updating and.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. So at the Board of Selectmen meeting on the 27th?
I think that's what they are planning to do. I'm not confirmed. They haven't confirmed the date.
Are those meetings live or Zoom?
They're live.
Who's they?
That's for RTM.
Oh, it's the RTM?
Sorry,
No.
RTM, not Board of Selectmen.
So are
RTM.
the revisions that you're making, are you gonna present that to the bike ped committee before it goes out to anyone else?
Yes, we will be sending you the draft as well. But before we send the draft, we just want to discuss and get your feedback on.
Education.
Education and school zone. There are some additions that we have done, just to give you a brief overview, with this complete street. Now, in the past, we felt that we need a clear communication, to explain everybody that how we follow any kind of countermeasures. So that countermeasures like any traffic calming methods, or what are the factors that help us to install a sidewalk, or what are the steps that we follow. So that's something I have added this time. And Bill and I have discussed this time. Because I felt like this piece is missing.
Yeah.
Was missing. So something like Project Height, we have discussed, construction project. This is not in the old version of the master plan. This was completely briefly discussed in complete street policies, but now we have elaborated it more. So to explain you in depth that what are the factors that dictate us. It's just not putting a curb extension, somebody asks us to do, it's not that easy. We have to follow certain tools to select the proper measure. So that's what we have discussed in this. And then we have discussed what departments play a role in these, analyzing and making decisions.
Right, because that also protects you and the town from, you know, oh, it's all politics, it's who you know, that's how you get a sidewalk this way, because they know you gotta go through these 47 steps, you know, yeah.
We are in middle, actually.
Probably 100.
We are in engineering in middle. Zoning is the one that regulates a lot. They are responsible for all access management, sidewalk width, regulations, setbacks. Zoning is one of the departments that we have to follow. When we do site plan reviews, we have to follow the zoning regulation. Anybody has to, any developer, any resident has to follow zoning regulations. So they start with zoning. Then comes police commission. They're the legal traffic authority. So we cannot do anything without their approval. So first step is them also. So, and we are in middle because now we are following on the technical aspect of it.
Do you and Bill, or either you or Bill still go out with when they do their traffic surveys?
Yes, we do.
Good.
It's a very good team, traffic survey we do with Lieutenant Rosari. He's always.
Because the commission, as you know, are just lay people, and we relied heavily on the experts, which that's what you guys are, so.
Yes.
Back in my time.
Yes, and yes, we give a technical advice. Yes, this cannot be done this way because the geometry is wrong, or sight line is wrong, or narrow width, or this, or NHCD some kind of advice. So we mostly are from mostly technical advisors and police commission also. They think from the public here and their expertise and experiences. So we work together. So that's LTA, and then we come along in all this scenario where we have to follow geometric constraints. We are doing financial. I have discussed about the roadway height in this as well. That's where engineering LTA comes together. So roadway height is arterial, it's collector, it's minor arterial, it's major arterial. This is very important to know to the public and anybody, because when we decide what traffic calming measures should be installed on a particular roadway, we have to see the roadway height. We just cannot. Villa Avenue is one of the major examples. Mill Plain Road is another one. Post Road, State Road is another. They are major arterial, so it's very hard to make it very complete. So that's what we have discussed. Financial constraints and state policies we have discussed. These are the main ones. So we have discussed about end users and priority users and how we try to make end users first, then priority users. There are two types of users. End users are basically us pedestrians and bicyclists. Priority users, unfortunately, are motorists. Unfortunately.
It is a road, I mean.
It's a road, right? So, and people want to make it exclusively for pedestrians. That's where the problem comes. Between end and priority.
I don't know so much about that.
So how we are, as a town, is taking that initiative to make it for end users, likely, hey guys, we are pedestrian bicyclists, please see us, please. So that's where we come, that's where these 3 E's comes into play, which is engineering, enforcement, and education. Those are 3 E's we follow to analyze these priority users and end users. And this is what we have discussed, how we engineers work. We always do road safety audits we do with the state and with RTM members. We did this practice with residents, with police department. Then we collect vehicle speed data from, this was never in the old version, but we have discussed these things, that what engineers do in engineering department to make road safer. Then we do traffic signal studies, we do geometric condition studies, and we do delay studies. So we do a lot of studies to analyze each one or each of the countermeasures. Then comes the enforcement recommendation. There are a lot of enforcement recommendations that Lieutenant Irizarry has updated for us. in this.
Yeah, did they take all of them out? Because I don't think they've done any of them in 10 years.
They have,
You could look at those, Chief. I'm gonna call you Chief sometimes.
There you go.
So
Like,
when,
Get Smart, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
But I
It
saw, when Frank was here, I sort of pointed out a couple of the, I didn't print out the whole thing, but on page, it would be page 10, I guess.
Yeah.
I says, you ever done any of this stuff? And he goes, no, I don't think so. You know, conduct an annual speed limit enforcement week, nope. Stage crosswalk stings on a regular basis, nope. You know, maybe, I'm sure there's a couple of things they did, but,
I just wonder if this has ever been shared with anyone.
well, you know what, Dave, your point is well taken,
It's not public, this is not
Yes, it is.
public.
Oh, certainly.
It is
Oh,
on the
100%.
website.
on the website.
Oh, 100%. But I think what happens is a lot of times people put together a document like this and then it goes in the file.
Yep.
Well,
That's reality.
bookshelf.
That's the reality of it, and we want to try to hopefully get away from that and make, I mean, you know, there's 8 enforcement and there's 13 education. I mean, we don't need that many. We need 2 or 3. I mean, we don't need, you know, stuff like that, so.
Less is more.
the plan is, it's like a thesis, and no one's gonna read that.
Right,
I mean, if the plan is more than 4 or 5 pages, forget about it.
right,
You know, you don't have a shot.
right.
So unless we can,
But there should have been some follow-up, to be fair. I mean, these are called recommendations, okay? So that means at least once a year, you know, somebody should go to education and say,
This is from 2013.
right,
Most of the people that were involved in drafting this are not even there anymore.
right,
They're gone. They're
right.
retired.
And
And they moved on, there, people that promote, I mean, I look at I've been retired now 13 years. I don't even recognize half the police officers, you know?
yeah, sure.
And so for someone to say, you know, what are you doing about the plan that we adopted in 2013? I mean, some of these guys are in high school.
But it needs to be,
Yeah.
it needs
that's
to
why
be
I
done
figured
at
representative.
least annually, okay? That you need to go through this and say, okay, did anybody ask local driving schools to incorporate the Share the Road program into their curriculum? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And should we do it or not do it, that type of thing. But if nobody says anything, it just sits there,
I mean, you know, it
like,
doesn't matter who the
like, look at
Secretary
all-
of the Treasury is, there's banking regulations, well, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, that need to be enforced. It's incumbent upon the department, and it can't be, you know, a thing about the people. It's gotta be, you know, your
Yeah,
group, your organization,
I mean,
your
I
department.
think the document needs to morph from, look at all these cool things we think we're gonna do, to let's put down a few things that we think we really can do and wanna do. So hopefully that's the goal,
Well,
at least
this
I
is the
kinda have.
master plan.
Yes.
So you need an annual plan.
sounds,
Well, no, I don't think so,
Narrow
I
it
think,
down for, I mean, keeping the master
Yeah,
plan, but
yeah.
each year draw from it.
yeah, absolutely,
Prioritize.
absolutely,
reduce.
absolutely.
or have a 5-year plan. You know, and few things get done each year.
Yeah. Is this being reviewed now because it was a 10-year review, or just somebody decided it's about
I
time?
think
It's about
people
time.
decided it's time.
Yeah.
And again, you know, it starts with the things that were in there, the recommendations that are done. Let's like, get rid of those, so we don't have to, you know,
Yeah.
because we're all so new, including Mega, that, you know, I don't know what was done on Post Road and Lafayette Street, or whatever the hell it was, you know, if it's done. So anyhow, look, why don't we, it seems like I have an agenda to look at the education recommendations. You guys can look at it. Did you guys bring a copy? I hope, I didn't bring copies, but, I went through these, and there's 13 of them. Okay, let's start with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them reference Share the Ride program, okay? I've heard of it.
Right, share the road.
Road.
I'm sorry, Share the Road program. And there's, I've heard of it, I don't know a lot about it, but to me, those 5 could somehow, it sounds like the Share the Road program's a good thing. I just intuitively, I don't know a lot about it, but it seems like there should be one educational requirement for Share the Road. And we want to do this, this says educate the residents. Now, we did do one thing here, this first one, was this Scott, Craighead? Scott Craighead?
Whitehead or
Craighead, I think, was his name? Anyhow,
Craig, whatever.
but he did this driver, pedestrian, and bicycle tips, and it was put on the website. So I know for a fact that one, the item number 1, first sentence was done, okay? I don't know if we need to do it again. Again, I think I'd like to cull this down to, one share the road program recommendation, okay? And then there's 1, 2, 3, number 2, 5, 6, 7, 2, 5, 6, and 7 are related to schools. So, we kind of need the schools' input on those 4. Okay, so there's 9 of them right there, and then there's, some random ones, in here. So we really need the school input, in my opinion. I think the school education is, critical, to be honest. We all know what we're doing, right, guys and folks? We know, only kidding.
Clearly, the education stuff, that's how, everybody learned and got used to put on your seatbelt.
Right.
Daddy, put on your, because, and then the drunk driving stuff. The kids today, like Uber, of course. They don't even, think about doing stupid stuff, most. But, I see people all the time, and sometimes they'll say, hey, thank you for jogging, running on the correct side. You can't say right, because they're actually left. The correct side of the road. And, but it's like others are going the wrong way. And I just said to one guy, if you were playing baseball, would you stand with your back to the pitcher? Right. Would you want to see what was coming at you?
You want to see what's coming at you?
And he went, well, what's different?
Yeah.
But
military bases, you get fined for that.
It's just like, but on the other hand, but bikes, you're traveling, you're a vehicle, you go. But then, and especially when you got the earbuds in, they're not even hearing.
How about the scooters, when they come out, the rental scooters, they go wherever they want to go.
Oh, sure, sidewalks, the whole.
The wrong way, right
wing out.
Yeah. I've been very outspoken critic of it, because I see
accidents?
I see what goes on. I see 3 12-year-old kids on a scooter when you're supposed to be 18 or 16, whatever it is.
Yep.
The parents give them their credit card and they do it. Reckless. To me, the biggest problem with it is that it has a governor on it, but the governor's speed is too high. It doesn't need to be 17 miles an hour. It should be 12.
Yeah.
Or 10, okay, then speed kills. Let's be honest, and it causes accidents. So
you're a 12-year-old zipping out.
If you're going 10 miles an hour, versus 17, odds are really good that if you somehow dump that, you could almost run off it and not, fall down or whatever. There's better options to the whole thing. The problem we have is that there's private scooters,
right,
and they're totally unregulated, I'll call it. At least the BIRD program had somewhat of a regulation. They had GPS, so you couldn't take it out of town or go in certain areas. You could restrict them and all that stuff.
That will reappear in the spring?
Pardon me?
The BIRD program will reappear in the spring?
They're coming back.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I assume they put them away for the winter.
Yes, they got winter. But I don't know. I don't know that we know.
Two things. The company themselves, BIRD, is losing a boatload of money. I read. Okay, they're not making any money.
Well, that will settle things. Yeah.
Well, but there's another company that's.
There's a few of them. But
I've ridden them a lot in different cities. In my experience, like in Minneapolis, they have a big program. But Minneapolis, amazingly, considering the climate, has an incredible infrastructure of bike lanes. They're mapped out on the road, and you ride them in there. And so they've been around. The bike lanes have been around for years. So there's a better chance the drivers understand that they really shouldn't drive in them. And most of the scooters I saw and the ones that I rode, we just stayed in those bike lanes and it's fine. I get your point that people ride them in the wrong place, but that's because we haven't developed any kind of infrastructure in this town. There are no delineated bike lanes. I ride all the time. And Mill Plain Road probably is the best example of at least there's that, the shoulder that has the white line.
Right.
So there's enough room to ride. It's not maintained, but so you come out, but that's another point. So, I love those. They're so much fun to ride. I'd hate to see it go away. I understand what you're saying. So, it's just another good reason.
But that's where enforcement comes in. I don't know that, the town has done much to enforce things along those lines.
But the town has done nothing to build an infrastructure to support things like that. They have it, and it's a fact.
I agree.
I ride a bike in this. I was just with some friends today. They said, you're out of your mind riding a bike in this town. I said, man, you know, I've had my mishaps, but I enjoy cycling, so I'm gonna do it. It'd be great if there were bike lanes.
Yeah, but let's face it, no cop wants to be grabbing a bunch of 12-year-olds and
they
bringing
got
them
other
home and all
things to
that. Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
You know, the problem, if I might just kind of address that, because I was the recipient of these complaints all the time that there's no enforcement. Came out of the police department in 1978, there were 100 police officers. There's 110 police officers now for the town of Fairfield, about 65,000 people, 40,000 calls for service a year. Think how the world's changed since 1978.
Yeah.
We have internet crimes, we have school patrol units, we have bicycle units, we have every individual special interest. You know, they want the Marine cops in the summertime. They want the crisis negotiators. So, but in the meantime, cops are just handling calls for service.
Yeah.
And they have some dedicated traffic safety unit people. But what they do in addition to traffic safety, unless it's changed, and I don't think it has, they investigate crashes. And I was a crash investigator. And literally you go from crash to crash to crash to crash to crash. So there's no time to do selective enforcement when you're going from crash to crash to crash. And those other cops, and in the town of Fairfield, on any given day, there are only 8 patrol officers on the street. So you have 8 patrol officers, 2 sergeants, and a shift commander.
Is that 8 cars or?
8 cars.
8 cars.
That's it.
Why is that?
Handling calls, because that's all that's funded. I mean,
But if you have 110 cops.
we're working shifts. I'm talking patrol.
24.
We have detectives, we have chiefs, captains, everybody down the line. But I'm saying, but patrol officers on the street in patrol cars just responding to calls for service, there are 8 on any given shift, and that's it. For the entire town of Fairfield, of 65,000 people, handling 40,000 calls for service a year. And then during the daytime and the evening, you have some specialized units like the traffic units. So that's the tough part of prioritizing what you're going to do for traffic. You know, you might see, a slow time, a couple of cops parked on the side of the road, and you go, what are those guys doing? And they're not doing anything. Well, they're probably, everything they do is documented, and they're writing reports and everything, they have the computers in the cars, and they're doing all that kind of stuff. So it's tough to do enforcement when you don't have the people to do it with.
Well, but I think that,
I mean, there always is time to enforce. We would have computer-generated enforcement.
I use the words education and then enforcement, so education first. So, one of my pet peeves is that, we put all this money in for sidewalks, and I see people walking on Fairfield Beach Road, women, I'll say women mostly, to be fair, because, whatever. They walk 3 abreast in the road, off the sidewalk, and I have to go around them, okay? Now, what I'd like to see happen, at some level, at a very minor level, is if a police officer sees this, we can develop say, did you know, and by the way, did you know there's a state statute?
Oh, yeah, you can get ticketed for that.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a funny story. I live on the peninsula side of Fairfield Beach Road, okay? So, of course, I deal with clam jam and sham jam and wedding jam and all this crap every year, right? And I was walking my dogs, and there was there's 3 cop cars usually there, when a lot of stuff's going on, and there was 5 or 6 officers there, and they were just, nothing was really going on. So I said, hey, did you guys, do you know if it's a law that if there's a sidewalk, you by law you have to use it?
Yeah.
It was a female cop. I didn't know her name. Irrelevant.
Okay.
She said, no, I never heard of that. That's what she said to me.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I think there is. And I went online and I looked and I found the statute. I printed it out. Okay, it's very specific. Where there's no sidewalks, obviously, it's a different story. But if there's a sidewalk, you're supposed to use it. And it really, there's one thing that bugs me. It's seeing people walking the road just so they can talk to the other person side by side because the sidewalk's not wide enough.
Exactly.
Exactly. It kind of all comes around again, But on the enforcement side, I'd love to see, if you're just driving, let's be honest, they drive around a lot too.
Oh, sure. No, they should be doing that kind of stuff.
But if you see something, just stop and nicely hand them something saying, do you know there's a statute, and you really need to walk on the sidewalks. That's what they're there for. That's what we pay your tax dollars go for. It's safer. And the other one is walking facing traffic. That one just blows my mind, okay? Because I tell people, and I've had people tell me to F off when I mention it to them, when I walk my dogs. I said to these people, do you know it's safer to walk? You know, of course, I always do it the right way, you know, 'cause it's the smart thing to do. And I tell them, and if some people want to engage in a conversation, I tell them, I says, let me give you a situation. Okay, if you're walking with traffic, okay, and there's somebody coming down the street and they drop their phone in their car and they reach over like this, and the car goes off, not intentionally, it goes by itself and runs you over and injures you or kills you. If you could at least see it, you have a little bit of a chance to react. And that's the only reason you want to do it, to be able to react, okay, if something goes badly, and jump out of the way or whatever. So that to me is a really big thing that needs to be, you know, worked on. Let me circle back just real quick, okay? But so on the educational requirements, my recommendation would be to have one for share. I'll draft something. One for share the road. I need to reach out to the schools and say, look, here's 4 things. I mean, the superintendent actually offered to be part of this, and of course he didn't show. But are you there, Mike? Mike? I don't know personally, but one for the schools, and I think we should have one for pedestrian education, one for bicycle education.
Sure.
Okay, so I see us having 4 or maybe 5 educational bullets in the new master plan. Okay.
Good. Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'd be happy to draft the pedestrian one. Would you like to give the bicycle? And you could reference, you know, we do the bike rodeo. You familiar with the bike rodeo? Okay, I mean, I think you could incorporate that as a bullet under bicycle education, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's almost like it's education / awareness.
Yeah.
You know, it's education for the kids, but adults, like, no nuts, you're walking on the wrong side of the road. That's like an awareness thing, you know? It's like,
But
you know.
how do you do that? Use
Right.
social media? I mean, it's
To do
marketing,
what?
man.
To do what?
Selling people, an educational program. I mean, you know,
With the schools, obviously, but like,
but what do you do? That's the thing.
for adults.
Well, it depends what you want to, what you want to teach them
So
on.
say, you brought up the point that people should use the sidewalk
Walk on
and
the
walk
left-hand
into
side.
traffic. So how do we market that? Do we get billboards, or do we try to use social media? I mean, how do we get the word out and get the most bang for our bucks, or take it to another level? Is that something that the town of Fairfield should take on by itself? Or should it be more of a regional or a statewide initiative?
Well,
Now, Steve, you're talking about starting with a memorandum for each area.
I haven't, you know, no, I haven't noodled that to that point. I'm just saying for the purpose of this master plan, to say that we're going to do something, and, you know, again, I don't know if it's a memorandum, I don't know if it's a leaflet we hand out, I don't know. I'll use an example what I would do for pedestrians, because I go to Lake George every summer, and there's a road there, Route 9, which I walk on, which is like, you know, a highway basically, but it has a very wide shoulder. And they have signs, which I took pictures of, and it says, walk on left facing traffic. So you put it, when the person is walking the wrong way, okay, they see the sign, okay? So, and in New York State, it actually says, walk on left facing traffic. It's a state statute. And I thought it's a very effective sign. I really did. You know, and let's be honest, there's high walk areas. Where I live, it's a very high walk.
It's identify the areas where it's
exactly
obviously a problem.
And test it. It's not like we have to put 100 signs out there.
Yeah, you know that electronic thing they put out every once in a
Yeah,
while?
yeah.
That could program
Yeah,
it.
they have about a half a dozen of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe set one of those up and see how that works.
Well, I had them do that.
Okay.
I had them put on there, walk facing traffic, it's safer. I don't think it said walk on the left, I don't remember exactly, but I gave them the verbiage, and they did it. They put it on just past College Place there, okay? And they had it for like a month, and then it just went away, you know? But
Tell the difference.
I think it builds awareness, I really do, and I think education builds awareness, and it you know, which leads to better safety, I think, and you know.
But I think Tom's point is, if you do that in the schools, you like brainwash the kids, they're gonna, like
Yeah,
my kids used to
they're
go
brainwashed
crazy,
about,
wear your
you know,
seatbelt, wear your
the only
seatbelt.
problem is, you know, I'm not a teacher, obviously, but, you know, you think about the schools, they're getting hit by everybody in the world saying, we need education in the schools, and then it can be political stuff, it could be safety stuff, it can be,
Yeah, but this is
sex
fif-
stuff,
this
it
is
can be,
15 minutes.
history
This is
stuff, God
15
almighty.
minutes. It's not a
You're-
course.
But there's so many people that wanna get 15 minutes.
Well, that's why I wanna reach out to the schools and say,
What can you do?
what would you like to see done, okay? And then how will you support that? Or how can we help you support that?
Okay.
And,
Danny's the guy.
your bike rodeo thing is a great, concept, obviously. How about the fact that I think it's May, it's National Bike Safety Month or something?
Yeah.
Maybe that's when you roll this stuff out and you make a little bit of a splash then.
I was at the bike rodeo thing last, May, I think you said it was?
I was there too.
And it was, I don't know, we set up a little table there, and we had some tchotchkes, and...
But it's better
There's
than
a bunch of Cub Scouts.
But it's better than nothing, I think, Tom.
Yeah.
It's like if you do nothing, then nothing ever changes. So, little by little, you find, and maybe you find a
But
better
something
way
like
to
that,
do it.
maybe what we should say is we wanna go to that thing, and we wanna do up posters or something, or fly, with exactly that thing, about be on the, walk, on the left-hand side, face traffic, just begin the brainwashing, so to speak, there, maybe there's a...
Getting to the police department that you spoke about, that's a real easy fix. They just put out a training directive, or a directive could come right from the chief's office, indicating that he wants that enforced, and maybe just verbal warnings.
Yeah, I would never give a ticket.
Yeah, and here's I mean, if you're gonna...
But you know what?
Because the way it works in the cars, when an officer makes a citizen contact, they have the mobile data terminals in the cars. They hit a button. It locks in a date and time and puts a file number on it. And then the officer interacts with whomever, and then they put a little memo, what they said and what they did. And it'd be easy to track to see if the cops are doing it. But it'd be very easy for the chief or whoever he designates, the patrol captain, to put out a directive that effective immediately, we want verbal warnings given to people walking the wrong way against traffic in violation of Connecticut State statute, blah, blah, blah.
And
that's easy.
And you know what, and be reasonable on our end on the expectations, so I could say something like, you wanna do it from one end of Fairfield Beach Road to the other. That's the test program, and then you could identify other roads,
Well,
and maybe, reef roads.
To me
You
though,
can't get in those streets.
like I was saying, I think as an officer is driving around,
Yeah.
and they see two people walking the wrong way on the road, I mean,
nothing to
tell me,
stop it, have
I don't know if you think
Yeah.
this is crazy or not, but listen, man, when I see the police lights, which is very rare for me, I must say, I get scared, man. I think even just putting your lights on, you're like, listen, you're not in trouble, but did you know there's a state statute that, in theory, we could give you an infraction for this? You probably don't, because most people don't. So I'm telling you, going forward, can you please walk against traffic, and where there's a sidewalk, use a sidewalk? Very simple.
Yeah.
And,
That's an easy fix, so, do you have liaisons with each department, or is it just a committee?
well, Frank is our liaison now.
Yeah, yeah.
So you mean, members of this
Yeah,
committee
so
are
like,
assigned to a...
someone would be
particular
the public works contact, someone would
we
be
haven't
the...
done...
No, we have not.
But if everybody's showing up to the meeting, I guess you wouldn't need that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
obviously nobody showed up to the meeting
Yeah.
tonight.
Unfortunately.
We're having a great conversation. If Frank was here, Frank would go, I'll bring that back and I'll mention to the captain and he'll put up...
I actually sent an email to Frank last week, and I said, Frank, I sent him the statute.
Yeah.
I says, can you just think about maybe some way, we
Very
can
simple.
come up with some ideas to, just get the message out. To me, it's a one-page thing, which we could probably draft it, put a stack in your car somewhere, and you just pull over and say, hey, did you know this? Please walk on the sidewalks. It's so much safer. And
it's the law.
It's the law. And by the way, has anybody other than me noticed the number of pedestrian deaths in the past year? It's been crazy.
Yeah.
And frankly, I got involved because my friend was in Mill Plain Road that got killed. My friend got hit.
We need
One of your minutes, the
That's-
delineation of,
Good concept.
two students,
Great example.
Yep.
one.
Sacred Heart?
Sacred Heart on
Sacred
Park
Heart
Avenue
students,
by the,
Someone out.
their Allied
in front of
Health
this-
building.
In front of the town hall, I remember that happening.
Like I said, in the past 2 weeks, the guy in Westport, the chef, got killed.
Yeah.
And then there was a woman in Greenwich that was supposedly standing on the side of the road with her dog and got run over and killed in the past week.
Oh, my God.
So
Yeah, but
to me,
several-
now to me, to me, you know, the other thing you gotta think about
24-year-old
too,
girl.
okay,
Yeah.
when I walk my dogs, you know, or at night, people go out dressed all in black, okay?
I don't get it.
Well, no, you know, it's not, I wear the thing that lights up and flashes, and I got a flasher on my, and if I go out in the winter, okay? And at my dog leash, I have a neon dog leash, which is green, that lights up, and believe me, you can see that from,
Tomorrow.
you can see that from
Yeah,
a long ways away, you know, and maybe we, you know, give some leashes away, or what, you know, maybe we give, lighted vests away in some manner. Spend a little money in that sense, you know, and say,
That's a
look,
very good idea.
you know, let's
Just
give them some
educate
tools. I don't know how,
Yeah.
maybe the people that are walking, that you pull over, you give them something. You know, we're not gonna give them a ticket, obviously, but you tell them, you know, and say, here's a little flasher, whatever, I don't know.
Well, I imagine, Dave,
Steve, I guess.
patrol officers
You gotta go, okay, all
have
right,
any
thanks.
number of things that they could
You going out tomorrow?
call attention to, and they have
You
no
Irishman?
judgment calls
Oh, sure.
what they do
Amateur
at any
day,
given
man.
time.
Huh?
That's amateur day.
Yeah,
I worked in the city, we go drinking
Any
Chinese
other
restaurants.
profession, you have
Absolutely.
aggressive people and you have your lazy people.
Yeah. And half time they forget to charge you for the drinks, that's excellent.
Very nice to meet you.
Tony Wellman.
Yeah. Yeah, nice to meet you, my friend. It will be official next time if we make the cut.
Okay. You're making the cut, don't worry about it. So I think that, you know, I think that's a good framework, you know, we'll work on that and limit it to 5 things. And, I'm not sure when I can get that to you, but that'll be the gist of it. We're gonna have only 5 bullets. 1 related to pedestrian, 1 bicycle, 1 share the road, 1 for schools, and we'll have a wild card in there. So we'll probably come up with 1 other wild card type of thing.
Okay,
Possibly driver education,
that is also a good one.
you know, I mean,
Don't speed, don't drink, don't text.
I mean, people know that, but,
The problem with so many of these things, both in my opinion, is the public is very distracted today. We all know this.
Yeah.
Drivers are distracted, even when they're not literally distracted. People's minds are just processing a lot of things.
Subconscious.
People walking are processing a lot of things. They're plugged up. So,
not an excuse.
cutting through awareness is, getting people's attention and getting your message through is tough, I know.
Yeah. I mean, even if we focus on drivers paying attention to crosswalks, and I'll tell you what I do, okay, being the, you know, person I am, I guess. When I'm walking my dog, and I always cross in crosswalks, well, 99% of the time. And if I see a car coming around, I'll start walking in the crosswalk, and I won't go more than halfway.
Yeah.
And if they don't slow down, I scream at them, "Hey, you're supposed to stop at the crosswalk."
You're the guy.
And, you know, and of course they, you know, either the windows are up and they don't hear me half the time or whatever. But, you know, I mean, I think if build awareness, and I believe there's a statute now that they passed in the past year that says even if it's not a crosswalk, you have to stop for somebody standing in the road.
I thought
people
that
don't-
was California. Is that here?
It's here. I believe it's here.
I don't
believe
know,
it's here.
that's,
And that one's tough.
yeah, that's like in the middle of the road, some moron.
That was tough. But crosswalks, come on, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
You gotta stop.
Connecticut in general is very lax about that. You go to some states, they're very serious. Like,
Well, LA,
Yeah.
jailway, you
Something,
get shot to death, and they kill you.
Newport, my wife and I, it's like, everything comes to a grinding halt. You go across the crosswalk.
Yep,
I
yep.
mean, it's ingrained in them. no matter how-
I was coming back from a restaurant, it was a business out in LA, and late, we had a late dinner. So I'm walking back to the hotel, and it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I come up to, the light to the corner, and the light was red. And there's a guy standing there. You couldn't see a car for 8 miles in any direction. So I saw across, he goes, "Hey, man." I'm like, I said, "I'm from New York. Jaywalking is mandatory."
Well, it's great.
It's
I
required.
was in New York for 20 years, and nothing would happen if people just used that, you know.
But some of these,
You look.
but some of these educational things, that's not a town, capacity thing. It's a state, it's the feds, it's, minimally the state to have a program. And we're not, but things like, I'm totally with walk on the left and, and get some signs, put them up.
Well, I think one of the most effective things, but there's a problem with it, and that is putting the, what do they call those things, not the meat signs?
Fog lines?
No. The signs that are shaped
For
like
the
a triangle.
crosswalks, the temporary
Yeah,
ones that
you,
bring
you
out.
put it right in the middle and
Oh,
it
yeah,
says
yeah.
beware of pedestrians, okay? The problem is somebody has to take it down and put it in
Right,
everything.
right.
But those to me are extremely effective.
Right, there's one right over here by St. Paul's,
When you're driving, you see that.
preschool.
A lot of, exactly. St. Paul's puts
Right
them
by
out
the
every
town,
day, yep.
around the
Every
corner.
school should put them out, and maybe they do.
Yeah.
But at certain intersections, you know, and that's a traffic mitigating thing, I'm sure.
Yes.
Speed-wise,
Speed management.
speed management, just by putting that, they call those things, not meet, sign, it's got a funny name to it.
Temporary
Like the old
sign
day
by
when the guys used to walk
Median
around,
sign.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
with one eye, they used to walk around and wear them.
Yeah.
Oh, sandwich board.
Sandwich board, yeah, thank you, that's what it's called.
Well, shit, just walking along the post road, if you're coming from, on the south side of Post Road, and you got the liquor store and the Chevy dealer, right? If you're walking to where Cumberland Farms is, that's a death trap trying to cross that street.
Absolutely.
I used to walk back and forth to going to the train every day for work, and you get cars making that left, whipping through there, and then they come in, it's a no man's land.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and then,
I think that's a great, and that's a very short, because it's a pretty
And that-
narrow road,
but,
but that's like a great spot for one of those signs, in my opinion, right there,
Mm.
okay? Because I go by there a lot also, you know, and I see the people, you know, or sometimes bicycles, you know, flow
Yeah.
through there too, which is not a good thing, but.
I was on my way up to the
That's
Gaelic
fine.
Club, and a buddy came up to me and goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, man." I go, "About what?" He goes, "I almost killed you about 10 minutes ago."
Yeah, your life passed before me, you didn't know it.
You owe me, now you owe me. I didn't kill you.
Oh, thanks for not killing me. Can I buy you a beer?
What were you gonna say, Tom?
I was just saying, the other thing about signs, and we have to deal with this in advertising, is what other things are competing for the driver, the subject's attention? How many other signs are there? How many, traffic lights are there? How much traffic, so if there are too many signs at some point,
Right.
it's not worth buying them from an advertising point of view, because there's too much noise, as we say. So it all depends on.
Well, yeah, and I think, you know.
As you were saying, who was saying that that you were saying about the left-hand turn prohibition is a sign over on the right that.
Yeah, it's lunacy. It's like, take it down. It's
Not in the line of sight.
It's, it's almost like you're generating a disrespect or lack of attention to all traffic signs,
I think it's like anything else, especially if it's a road you drive down a lot, you just sort of get used to not seeing it or noticing it.
Right.
Now, I noticed the pedestrian signs, they've gone to the yellow signs, at the crosswalks and stuff. And, I gotta be honest, you kind of see it, but then again, sometimes you kind of don't, in my opinion, you get used to it. I did a thing on, because I wanted to go, which I probably still will go to the police commission, because I want to put those walk-facing traffic signs or walk on left, whatever. But I went from the peninsula all the way down. It's about a little mile and an eighth, I think, from Reef Road to the end each way, mile and a quarter, let's say. And I counted a number of signs that say no parking, tow zone, okay? And there was over 100 of these signs, okay, which to me are clutter and ugliness, right, on top of everything else. It's bad enough we got the telephone poles to make it ugly, but my recommendation was to get rid of these and put one big one at the beginning, like no parking on either side, because I said, I've lived there for 25 years, and the only time I see people parking on that street, and I'm talking about the peninsula side, the dead end side, is college kids moving in, which is fine, I get it, or people moving in, people getting deliveries, and the random real estate open houses, okay? Other than that, it's not like a problem. Like, cars don't randomly park there, because it is a
Those
narrow.
were generated over the years because of beach traffic.
Yeah.
Nobody wants people coming from out of town and parking and
Yep.
going to, but you're right, there's only one way in and one way out.
Yep.
So if you had one sign as you enter, even like speed signs, you could have one sign that says 25 miles an hour on this road.
From here to
And that's it. I mean, because I did traffic enforcement, I was a motorcycle cop, and the rule used to be you couldn't enforce a sign unless the driver could see it from their driver's seat. So like if the sign was behind them and you wrote them a ticket and they appealed the ticket, they could make the argument, I didn't see the sign was behind.
Right.
Even if they had passed it?
Right, even if they had passed it, yeah. And, but in a situation like that, I don't know, that makes sense.
Well, but when I sent it to the FBR, the Fairfield Beach Association, and, I don't know, do you know Bill Perugini at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know Bill a little bit, he lives a few houses down from me. And so I sent it to him, and, he goes, he called me up, he goes, it's a great idea, he goes, but I don't think it's gonna fly, because some people still want them in front of their homes. And I said, well, the people that want them there can keep them, I don't know.
Unless they're having a party themselves.
Well,
But they would call the police department, they say, I'm having a party, could all my friends park in front of my house? Like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
you're the one that wanted the sign,
Well,
it can't be just for you.
there's a politician who I won't name, who lives
Give us
Right.
initials.
right near me, and she said, oh, we're gonna get, no
She-
parking zone, signs, for the big, and we said, no, we don't want them. He goes, you have company, what are you supposed to?
Yeah.
And because at the very beginning of COVID, it was a big problem.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the world was coming here to use the beach, blah, 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 but it's like, it went away, Especially my kid was out, he was home from visiting, my youngest guy, he's out doing the lawn or something, and the guy pulls up with New York plates, he goes, hey, yo, buddy, is it okay to park here? My son goes, yeah. So the guy gets out, he hits his son like a 20, keep an eye on it. I like that. Yeah,
But to get back to my, there's over 100 of these signs, and there's exactly 4 speed limit signs on that road, 25 mile an hour,
Yeah.
2 on each side.
Yeah.
And I says, I'd rather put a couple more speed limit signs on the road and get rid of all this stuff that people don't see. I'm telling you, they don't see it, and
'Cause I sat
and you're never gonna tell them.
32 years
You're
of
never
people
gonna
coming
know.
in and saying, I need a sign in front of my house because people are parking there when they go to the beach.
Yeah.
And it was just automatic, yeah, okay, you want a sign, you're gonna sign. But just keep in mind that when you have a party,
you're screwed.
yeah, we have to enforce that sign. You can't, make special arrangements for you. And that was always a problem,
And again, that's just
but, I
an
mean,
example.
that's something, in all the years I never heard anybody suggest it, but that's a great idea.
Well, even there's.
I hate too many signs too, to your point.
And
perception.
that's the
Too
most,
many you don't
that's
see
the
it.
most common one, okay? But there was, I think, 6, slow for children. And they look like they've been there for 20 years. Now, the person had to put up in front of their house because they had kids. Their kids are adults, or they moved it, or whatever the case might be. Probably a very invaluable sign right now, to be honest, that type of thing. So I think.
We had a deaf children's sign across the street, there's nobody down that street.
It's probably
Yeah, well,
someone who lived there at one point.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
a good example too,
Yeah.
probably, but.
Well, in terms of the efficacy of signs, it all depends. I'm at the corner of Mona Terrace and Oldfield Road, and well, that's the blow-through stop sign for
Yeah.
road.
Yeah, it's a rolling stop, yeah.
Yeah. At best.
It's all the old people going out to the senior center.
Yeah, right.
Little tomorrow, corned beef and cabbage.
Hot lunch, man, I gotta.
Get out of the road.
Oh, last week they were lined up.
Yeah, I know they were, that's a big day down there. Oh, boy.
Does the other chief, did he follow you, what was Sandbrook, was he after you or before?
He was before me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did he still drive the bus for the seniors? He
No,
did?
that was me.
Oh, that was you?
That was me
I
that
thought
did
he
it.
did that.
No, I did that for about 3 years and then I had enough.
Oh, okay,
It was
okay.
a nice, a very noble thing to do, but I couldn't do it anymore. I had a 90-year-old mom at home and that was enough. I didn't
Yeah,
need 300 more
and your own seniors.
90-year-old moms. Yeah, so, but no, that was me. I did that for about 3 years. That's how I got Tony involved. They just called me to come back the other day.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
No, for a split
You gonna
second.
do it?
For a split second, I came to the thought and I'm like.
You
no.
didn't volunteer me, did you?
No.
Okay, thank you.
For you to go on.
All right, we can talk a little bit more, but can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Tom? Second, I guess I'll second. Jose, you still there? Jose? Nope.
Well, Jose.
Okay, so, I guess we can't have a motion to adjourn, so we'll just adjourn. 7:31.